But I know I hear a lot of people talking about marketing and all, and a lot of businesses like mine, they could spend a lot of money on marketing. I never have spent a lot of money on marketing. I wouldn't even know, how to hardly market, really, man. And that's probably a reason why my business has not really grown a lot. But I have been in a spot since since I've been in business, to where I had to turn down customers, and it wasn't because of anything other than labor, right? And then once I realized that, by the time I hit my 40s, being in business 6 or 7 years, I started to realize, you're not going to be able to build a big business and it not drive you crazy, right? Because I had no partners, I had no experience, I had no entrepreneurial background. Nobody in my family was an entrepreneur. I didn't know anything about nothing. I just knew that this is what it costs for me to live, and this is how much money I need to make every month to pay what it costs for me to live. That's all I knew. Everything else I've learned on the fly. That's the truth, man. But most everything that you guys see me do out here, I've had to kind of learn a lot about it to be able to make money at it. I know anybody can cut freaking grass, Ray. It's not a big deal. You're right, anybody can. But to make money at it, you gotta be of another mindset than that. To make money at it, you can't be bull crapping around but that's some of the stuff that I was doing in the very beginning, to be able to just how I did it. And I'm not saying that how I did things, and I've not done anything really, I built a little business up, but I expected to, well, I don't know how to say it, man, without sounding freaking arrogant, but I expected to excel, right? I expected that. I mean, I work hard, and I try to work smart, and every year that I'm in the game, I get a little smarter and don't have to work as hard. Every year is a little bit different. If you're not learning and not remembering stuff that you learned from last year, from season to season, from day to day, from week to week, or whatever, if your memory's terrible and you can't think or whatever, this ain't the right game for you to make top dollar. Now, I could get out here, and be schlep rock out here, and I could go do 4 yards a day, $50 yards, we'll say, and make $200 a day, and not stress myself, and that would be doable, I guess. But the more I'm in business, the easier I see it is to make way north of $200 a day. But I could, if you ain't got to be the shiniest tool in the shed. And if you don't know nothing, like I didn't in the beginning, I just kept going out working, and I just kept getting my customers, the little customers that I had then, to to refer me and all of that. And that's the whole business is based on referrals now. I don't hardly do anything without being referred, and that keeps me out of a lot of crap. But I do understand that with Chucky, I'm going to have to step outside of that comfort zone, because all my lawn care customers, all of them don't need skid steer work. And as long as I had the little T190, the Bobcat, with no payments and no major insurance on it, or nothing like I have to pay now, because right now I'm paying $730 a month for Chucky. Well, Ray, that ain't shit, man. Yeah, but it is a lot compared to not paying nothing, which is what I had with the Bobcat. So when you got to look at things from that perspective. I went 4 years, 5 years or whatever with with Bobby, and I never made one. I didn't have to make any payments on them, so I paid $20,000 in cash. So it was just about getting my 20 grand back, and I didn't have to worry about how long it took or nothing, you know. So, but you look at that, I didn't know anything about skid steer work. I just took a chance because I knew that I was having a hard time with labor. I knew that I was having a hard time in the winter, and I knew I had about $10,000 or $15,000 worth of work that customers wanted right then. I don't normally buy a piece of equipment if I don't have some work lined up for it. That's just me. Well, man, you could have rented it and all that. Yeah, but renting ain't never going to get you far. It's just not. You're not gonna be able to make as much money. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not gonna be able to make as much money as if you own the machine. Well, I just charge the customer for that, man. I know, but I do too. But I'm keeping all of it. So, and I'm in control of the timing of the job. I'm in control of when I do it, of what time I get there, and all that. I'm not, you know, under the umbrella of a freaking rental yard and what they have available and all that. Also, when you own your own machine, you know, you understand what the machine can and can't do, and you're able to do things faster than if you rent a different machine every time. Well, Ray, I'll just make sure they give me the same rental every time. That's where I'm at. There's no options in that. You're lucky to even be able to rent one, because there's so many guys renting machines to do what I do. There is. If I had anything to say to somebody young in the game, try to stay out of the rental yards. I mean, you know, I have rented equipment before. I've never rented lawnmowers or nothing like that, but I have rented, you know, man lifts and stump grinders and skid steers before. But that ain't the way I'm gonna do stuff. There ain't no way, because you ain't running nothing that way. Now, it is good to rent. Like, I rented a power rake one weekend, and I saw what the power rake could do, and then I went out the very next week and bought one. You know, it's good for, you know, renting is good for stuff like that. Back in the day, I used to rent the man lift, like the one I bought, you know, the JLG one. I used to rent those back when I first started, because in the wintertime, I didn't have any work, you know, and I would, you know, some of my customers had properties that needed, you know, trimming trees, and I did all that. And I told myself, even way back then, 2009 or 10, I'm like, man, if I had one of these right here, well, I can make a killing. That's what I thought. That's what I was telling myself. I was thinking like that even back then. I knew I didn't like to rent stuff because I didn't like the time it took and all that. And I'll probably have to rent equipment at some point in time again, and you know, that's what it is. But I'm gonna stay away from the rental yards at all possible. At all possible. When I used to rent those man lifts, even back then, they were like $425 a day. See, it's hard for a guy like me to overcome that, right? It just is. You know, and me make money. I soon realized that if I was going to rent equipment, then I really wasn't making any more money than I did when I'm sitting on a lawnmower. But it was a whole lot more trouble, you know. But you're learning too, so you can't minimize the learning process of what equipment you rent or buy or need. That's, you know, paramount, man. You can't put a dollar figure on that. You just have to learn and hope that, you know, that you're making moves. I would have never bought the skid steer, you know, the T190. I would have never bought that Bobcat had I not had about $10,000 worth of work lined up. I would have never bought it, because back in 2018 when I bought it, you know, this is before COVID, the machines were, well, 20 grand was expensive. Nowadays that's not. Inflation is really, you know, but I paid all cash for it, and I didn't have any money, you know. Yeah, it was so sketchy right at that time, you know, when I bought the skid steer, that I did not even tell my wife how much I spent on it. I didn't even tell her, because I knew that she would be freaking out, because we ain't have no money left. That's a fact. So, you know, when I bought Bobby the T190 for the 20 grand, I mean, I want to say I might have had $400 or $500 left in my checking account. And that was it. I had to generate money with it to get my money back. My only goal when I bought the T190 was to get my money back before I had a catastrophic failure or something, because it was an older machine. You know, I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't know nothing about skid steers in general. I saw it, and I had read up a little bit on them, but I didn't really know anything practical, you know, knowledge like I have now. I just knew that I could make $10,000 to $12,000 with that skid steer if I could buy it, if I could get it, right? So that's what I did. My thinking was, okay, well, I'll make my $10,000 or $15,000, and then I'll turn around and sell it. That was, you know, that was not what my plan was, but that's something that I knew that I could probably do, right? Because I've always been flipping equipment and stuff, you know, all the way back to when I first started with the lawnmowers and all, like I was telling y'all. But when I bought the T190, I knew nothing. And, you know, I'm thinking back on it, and it gives me goosebumps to know what a vulnerable state I was in at that moment. If that T190 had any kind of issues, you know, in the first 2 months that I had it, I would have been in trouble. If that skid steer had, you know, blown up or anything that eventually, you know, I would have to deal with, if it had happened in the first couple months of me having it, I don't know what I would have done. I'd have figured something out, but it would have been a lot more treacherous. It was very scary buying a machine that you don't know nothing about, and there ain't no warranty or nothing, and you don't come out of every dollar that you got. So if you're not willing to take calculated gambles, then, you know, you're probably not going to be as successful as you would if you did take calculated gambles. I've taken quite a few calculated gambles along the way to get to today. But when I bought the T190, I didn't know anything. And I had to learn about the machines. I had to learn what I could and couldn't do with one. And then on top of all that, I'm learning just by doing what I like about the machine and what I don't like about the machine, what I would change about the machine if I could, what I would, you know, pretty much at the end of the day, at the end of 3 or 4 years of running, you know, the T190, it steered me to what I really needed to buy on the next machine. As far as specs go, you know, hydraulic flow, because I didn't even know anything about none of that when I bought the T190. So I learned that it really is not, I mean, it's a part of it, but the horsepower of a machine is, well, that's a pertinent stat, but it really is more about the hydraulic flow, the hydraulic pumps and all on these machines, especially Mini X's and stuff. the more horsepower, the heavier it is. The heavier it is, the harder time you're going to have pulling it around. So you got to kind of build up to that. You don't just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going to spend, you know, $30,000, $40,000 on a used skid steer now, and then, oh, well, I need an $8,000 trailer. Oh, damn, my truck really ain't going to pull this thing around safely. I need a truck too. You got to be thinking and getting all of your infrastructure correct before you purchase a skid steer, unless you're, you know, buying it for a farm or something, you know. But so when I bought this one, I knew exactly what I wanted, what I needed, what I liked, what I didn't like, and what trailer I needed, that my existing trailer would pull it, my existing truck would pull it. So I was able to throw a lot more actual money at this piece of equipment than somebody that tries to buy one of these and they don't have any infrastructure. You got to have the infrastructure down to be able to do this and it not just break the freaking bank, right? Because everything is stupid expensive. So having this truck already in the fleet and having this equipment trailer already in the fleet, I bought this equipment trailer with the money that I made with my Bobcat back when I first bought the Bobcat. The first couple jobs I did after I got my $20,000 back, I refused to even run my Bobcat until I got an equipment trailer. So I bought the Bobcat in November 2018. By May of 2019, I had all my money back, my $20,000 back, and that's when I parked the skid steer. I parked it. I said, I'm not gonna, man, plus grass season was coming, so I didn't really have time to market any more work, you know, on my limited knowledge of what I could do with a skid steer. So I just parked it, and it might have sat for, hell, it might have sat, other than just running around my yard or whatever, you know, for 3 months, you know. And then once we got into August of 2019, that's when I bought the Gator-made equipment trailer. And that's when everything started. I was able to make a lot more money with skid steer because I could bring attachments with me, and I had learned, you know, a little bit. And during the summer, that summer, while I was doing all these yards, I was marketing to my existing customers that I bought a skid steer and blah, 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 blah. So that's pretty much how I got to this point right here. Now, you know, moving forward, things are a little bit different for me because of the new skid steer, just like it was different for me when I bought my first big boy lawnmower. You know, you have to learn the machine. You have to learn what it can and can't do. You have to learn what work you can actually do with it. And this machine, of course, is a lot more capable than the T190. It better be. That's why I knew exactly what machine to buy when I was in the market for another skid steer. And you guys that watch the channel, y'all know I really wanted one of the Takeuchi TL8 high flows, but they're not available. Yeah, I couldn't get one. So, and I got tired of playing with them and all. The timing of when you buy a machine is a critical thing too, because if I don't buy a skid steer, you know, when I bought Chucky, then it'll be a whole nother year at least. Well, next year I may have to buy a truck. Next year I may have to buy a lawnmower, you know. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, you got to be thinking like where you're at. And I know where I'm at. It might not be where I want to be, but I'm all right. You know, the biggest thing, y'all, about having your own machine is I can pick and choose what jobs I want to do. If I don't feel like doing it, I don't have to do it. Now, with that being said, you know, I'm responsible for that $730 a month payment too. So I get to pick and choose what work I do with it. And y'all see I'm semi-busy. I'm busy enough, and really I'm busy enough to make the payment for sure. Am I making as much money as I would with the T190 if I'd have just kept it? Well, not yet, but the T190 fitting to go down. It's got 4,100 hours on it. It's fitting to have some problems, more problems than what I was having with it. That's why one of the main reasons why I wasn't using it that much was every time I used it, something would break, or something would come to my attention that I need to fix, or and I just knew that I was going to have it out somewhere in the fucking woods somewhere, and it was going to break down, and I was going to be looking crazy, and it was going to end up costing me $5,000. And then I'd be thinking to myself, I don't want to put $5,000 in that machine. I want to sell it and get me a new machine, because I knew exactly what I wanted. So I kind of just slow-roaded the machine for the last, I just kind of slow-roaded with the Bobcat for the last year that I had it. I was real particular about what jobs I took, and that kind of thing. And then during the summer, this past summer, I barely used it at all. Just a few, I might have made $5,000 with it over the summer. But the best thing is I didn't tear nothing up on it. You run that T190 hard, that's just what happens. And considering I had gotten all my experience out of the T190, I had gotten everything out of my T190 that I needed to get in order to make a better move, the next phase, if you will. So that's why a lot of people, well, man, I would have tried this skid steer, and I would have tried that skid steer, and I would have done, I would have rented some machines and all. I'm not going to rent machines just to see. Now, I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to rent a machine and work 2 days and not make no money and be out of my pocket the rental. So I wasn't going to do that. Not after I had my T190 for 4 years. Why in the world would I go rent a machine when I got a T190 sitting there? Well, Ray, so you can learn about what machine to buy. At the end of the day, it's really all about where your dealer is and specific features that you want. The only dealer close by to me, other than a Bobcat, and I like the Bobcat brand, it's a good brand, but I don't like the way the door opens and all that. So, and I got videos on that kind of thing where I'm talking about the main reason. 2 manufacturers in my local area that have the roll-up door, Takeuchi and Kubota. That tells you right there. So it was going to be a Takeuchi or a Kubota, and it was going to be a step up from the T190 as far as weight class and power and everything. So I didn't really, and the Takeuchi wasn't available, so it was really a no-brainer, because, well, my dealer is 35 minutes away. Bobcat was never in the game in my search, because it didn't have the roll-up door, and the ability to be able to run a machine with the door open. That's very significant to me. Ray, you don't have to do it. I'm talking about for an enclosed cab. And I definitely was going to get an enclosed cab. I was not going to continue running the machine and have an open cab. That was one of the things that I felt like was important. Well, that ain't that important, but to me it is. Well, Ray, you're just being silly. But okay, but since I'm the one that's got to pay, let's do it that way. I want to do it where I'm comfortable in the machine, where I feel like running it. The T190 had gotten to the point, especially in the summer, where I wouldn't even run it in the summer because it's too damn hot. But anyway, I could go on and on and on. And there's a lot of little moves I made along the way, with the attachments and all. Every time I'd get a job, sometimes I would buy the attachment just to do that one job. I got right now with all my attachments, if you added all the money up for the attachments, it's roughly $38,000 worth of attachments that I have, and and they're all paid for. I don't even really remember the struggle to pay for them. I do remember the struggle to pay for my first zero-turn lawnmower. I do remember the struggle to pay for my first big F-250 truck. I remember those struggles, but I don't remember the struggle after I got the skid steer, the Bobcat. I don't remember struggling after that. Even though I was having some mechanical issues with the machine and it was costing me money, those struggles were real, but overall, I don't remember really struggling to pay for anything. Never. Not since I bought the Bobcat. So that just tells you a little bit about, where I'm at today and the thinking process to get to where I'm at today. The biggest thing is I've learned how to manage my money and my expenses and my time, and slow things down a little bit to where I'm not so all over the place. And I still, am all over the place sometimes, but it's better than it used to be, put it that way. It is. But y'all know what it is, man. It's Sammy Time Thursday. Deuces!